Hi, welcome back to the Abundance IO podcast. We are here in Salt Lake at the Hive, and I got my new good friend Ryan Flint on with Rice and Capital. How you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Chance.
Yeah, of course. So we got a little bit of time to chat for the podcast. Really excited about what you're up to. We got a lot of people tuning in from a lot of different areas in their entrepreneurial journey, and I have gotten the honor to learn so much from my guests, and I know our listeners will as well. I know that you have this big, successful, commercial real estate business. You have your fund, you're doing big things, but I know it didn't all start there. Can you just kind of give us where it started, where your entrepreneurial journey began, and some of the, wins and failures along the way?
Yeah, you bet. So I'll take it back quite a bit. I went on a LDS mission to Mexico. When I got back from Mexico, well, before I played college baseball, when I got back, I had such a passion for sports. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school and played baseball in college, and then played a little bit thereafter. And when I got from my mission, I was so addicted to health and fitness. And I started working, helping CEOs, presidents of companies, executives, athletes, college athletes, high school athletes, pro athletes with their health and fitness. And I ended up starting a gym. I opened up a gym, and it was just a small, super private for those exclusive type people. And I was working. I thought it was going to be really cool. I'd make a ton of money because I was training those, high echelon people. And what it came down to is I was hardly making anything. And I was working my first session every day was at 5 a.m, and I'd get home about 10 o'clock at night every single day for years. It was a couple years. And thank goodness we ran a good enough business, and we had a good enough name that we were able to exit that business a couple years later. Luckily, during that exit, I had some money, from that exit that I was able to decide, what do I want to do when I grow up?
Mm-hmm.
I was consulting. I went out to Boston and was with the Red Sox for a little bit. And I remember having conversations out there of, what do you want to do? You have such a good way to communicating with people. You have such a good knack, a good head. I was always really smart in school. And my father-in-law was a big real estate developer, is a big real estate developer. And I remember sitting down with him, consulting, saying, hey, I really love real estate. All the wealthy people that I know, all the rich dudes that I know, all own real estate. But one thing I don't want to do is sell homes. I am not a emotional person. I mean, when you talk to residential realtors, nothing against them. I love them, but they are super emotional. They've got to update their clients every day. And when I work with them, it's like, I'll pay you. I always think to myself, I'll pay you more if you just stay away from the deal, because commercial and residential are black and white. It's completely different. And so again, no knock on them. I respect the heck out of them. I couldn't do it. And my father-in-law was a commercial real estate developer. He had done a bunch of Mavericks, Kmart's, Home Depots, so big stuff, Walmart's, and then a bunch of strip centers and apartments. And long and the short, I sat down with him and I said, hey, I really have a passion to do this. I'm going to go get my real estate license. Can I come work for you? And he said, absolutely not. And I was just like in shock. Why? And he said, because I don't want you to work for me, because I want you to learn how to grind. I want you to learn the hard way. And in the future, if our paths cross, obviously I'm here to coach you and guide you and be a resource and be a mentor, but you're not working for me. And after I was sold the gym, my dad was a huge entrepreneur. Huge. He ended up selling his company to FedEx probably 5 or 6 years ago now.
Wow.
But I called him and I just said, hey, Dad, while I take my real estate license, can you keep me busy on special projects or whatever? Just because I was always a worker. I was a workaholic. I loved work, but I needed something with him that was just like almost not really a stepping stone, but just something to keep me busy. And during that time, he had a big warehouse in Salt Lake City out by the airport, and he had about 8 acres on the back of his property that he didn't need. And he said, hey, let's sell it. So I had my license at this time, and I I said, well, this is industrial grand. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but what I do know is I know a lot of people. So I ended up finding an industrial broker that was in Salt Lake City. It came highly recommended. We sat down and talked, and we made a plan that, hey, we'll just do this together. I told him I'll do all the work. You just get it out in the proper channels, and then you mentor me through this process. And about 2 weeks into that process, we had it under contract because I just called everybody. He told me he would call, and I just did it. And when we got it under contract, he came to my dad and said, hey, can I take this guy? He's fiery. And what's cool is this guy is such a stud, but he was a baseball player, and he was in the Mariners organization. And so we just got along really well because of baseball. And so I ended up going to be his junior broker. And so the hard part about being in commercial real estate is getting your foot in the door. And so I owe him a lot of credit of helping me get my foot in the door. Now I was with him for 9 months, and 9 months only, because what I saw was I saw every reason in the world of the person and broker I didn't want to be. Not necessarily with him, but in the firm. It was the number 2 commercial real estate conglomerate in the world. And their rules, and I'm not against rules, but just their vibe, their culture, it went against every little core bit of my values. Everything was transactional, like I told you a little bit before the podcast. Everything was transactional. It had nothing to do with how you loved people, how you did customer support. It was get in, get the deal done, get out. And if they call you back, great. If they don't, great. And that didn't sit right with me. So I ended up going, I got my name out. I had started to get a good reputation because I was a hard worker. I was very loving. I started to get along with all the brokers, not even in my shop, but in other shops. And that's very uncommon in my business, because it's almost like you're in the ocean, all great whites, you're all, feeding on the same fish, and you go for the big fish. And if the big fish is being eaten by another shark, there's another shark comes to try to take out the other shark. That's just how it is. And I was more of like, hey, I'll let you eat that. I'll go get a different one. And then there was times where I would catch the fish, and I would call another broker and be like, hey, you come help me eat it, because I still want to learn. And that was very uncommon. It was like, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. Well, I ended up getting recruited by Brandon Fugel at Colliers, and the rest was really history at that point. We started doing big projects, Hill Air Force Base, Center Cal Properties, which is a huge investor here and developer in the state and all over, and many, many more. And ended up climbing the ranks really young, and was his president for a number of years, up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when my renewal, just standard practice, had nothing to do with Brandon, came up, and they wanted me for another long term. And I was ready to spread my wings. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do, and building my own wealth was one of them. And in the commercial real estate world and brokerage, I was getting very rich, but I was not building wealth. And there's a big difference. And I just, have a family, and I thought to myself, look, I can always do brokerage deals. I can always have good years. I can always pull in an X amount of number. But when that shuts down, my commissions, they go on vacation with me. They go to the grave with me. And I didn't want that. I wanted to leave a legacy and build wealth. So I ended up branching off, and it was a smooth, clean transition, awesome friendships, and kind of started my own thing. And I went to a smaller boutique firm, just hung my license there, and did my own thing, and until now. And I'm still brokering. I broker the deals that I want to broker. I've had a lot of teams and juniors underneath me that I pass a lot of deals off to, and I focus a lot on building them up and watching them have a lot of success. I always wanted to be the mentor that I didn't have, and that's really where my why is in this space. I also learned a lot from my dad. I borrowed money from my dad, $15,000 or $10,000, I can't remember, when I started my gym. And he was very uber successful. And his lesson in life was, I'm going to treat you just like I treat anybody else. So when I sold my gym, I paid him back with interest. And he didn't ask for interest, but when I paid him back with interest, and showed up on his doorstep with that check. I think it was like 17 grand. I borrowed 10, paid him back 17 a couple years later. He just dropped to the floor. And I thought to myself, and he just looked at me and said, I'm really proud of you, because, as much as he didn't think he taught me that, he taught me that. And that kind of stuck with me the rest of my career. Was I want to be that person that I was that day. I want to be that dad or that mentor that, my dad was to me, without being in the business. And so every single day, my superpower is customer service. And I definitely have times in my life where I don't do the best, but I pride myself on loving people. And what I've gotten better over the years is honestly saying no, because there's just a lot of people that want me to represent them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've been able to mentor a lot of kids, so that, or guys, gals, so that when those opportunities come and I don't have the bandwidth, I can pass them along, knowing that they're going to be treated just as if I was treated them. So now fast forward, here I am. I'm still a commercial real estate broker. I do stuff all over the country. I've had some spectacular years, and Jason and I started Ryson Capital and Ryson Ventures and the real estate group, and we're developing. We have funds where we do self-storage, we do luxury storage, we do multifamily, mid-size multifamily, and we do industrial flex space. And being a broker, that was always my superpower, those three sectors. Yes, I've done retails and restaurants and stuff like that, but my superpower was always in what I was good at. And so I just duplicated that and said, hey, I'm going to do it in a different way now. So I work with brokers. I'll continue to broker, but now I'm the one putting it all together. So that's a little, I guess, long story short, of how my career's been.
I mean, I just learned a lot from that, because you stayed true to your values in the beginning. You always saw like the long term of relationship equity. If I keep staying true to myself, because when you get out of the business world, the entrepreneurial world, you start moving so fast at some point you're like, wait, who am I anymore? Right. Because we just get programmed or indoctrinated by other people's values and principles. And like you said, you didn't like that. Get in, get the money, get out. Who cares if they call you back? Like, that was never right with you.
No.
And now with you staying true to that, now years later, when you have your own, you have your own shop, you're seeing a lot of those relationships come back around. You're seeing those monetized, not just in a financial way, but in a relationship way, in a friendship way, in a fun way. I'm sure you have a lot of fun with your clients as well, since you've built these long-term friendships, people that you actually want to spend time around, not just make money with.
Yeah, I mean, I share a lot, but I have 3 core values: make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. And people that follow me hear that a lot. And when you peel the onion back, I want to help people in the way that changes the world. And I can't do that without financial resources.
100%.
And when I'm helping people and I'm having a lot of success, I'm having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't take any money to the grave with me. And my kids, I'm not just going to give it to my kids. I'm going to allow them better opportunities than I had when I was a kid. But I want to help a lot of people in a big way and have a lot of fun doing it. So I live by that every single day. Is this going to allow me to be happy, help somebody, and have a lot of fun doing it? And if one of those 3 are missing, I usually say no.
Those are great, simple, but powerful values to have.
Yeah.
I always say, like, I want to have fun, go make some fun money, and then like spend all that time with those same people. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's business deals everywhere.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity, and you have just as much or more opportunity with the people that you actually care about.
Oh yeah.
And you cultivate those relationships. And it's like, I have friends that I met very early on in my entrepreneurial career that just now, 7, 8 years later, we're doing deals together, but we're already lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more fun.
Oh, it's so much
Being excited to get that phone call instead of like, oh, shoot, that client's calling me.
Well, and then it's like a fun, competitive nature.
Yeah.
Right. Because I want people especially brokers, when I call them, they don't go, oh, this guy, he doesn't do deals. I want them to pick up going, hey, this is probably a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I educate my clients and set expectations with them that, hey, if we're going to put our foot forward, we're going to put our foot forward. And if you're not ready, just know I'm never going to pressure you. I'm just going to educate you, help you, teach you, get you in a position that when you do put your foot forward on a deal, it's going to happen, unless it's out of your control. And that gains a lot of respect with people. And so that's another thing with commercial real estate or any business is it's not, people come into it going, oh, you did that deal times that commission. Oh, you made that money. And what they realize is it's not a get rich quick. It took me good 2 or 3 years to make decent money in this business. And when I say decent money, I'm talking like I was making 30 grand a year for the first couple of years until I figured it out. But I had to start, I basically had to pioneer the way of thinking in the customer service realm, because it wasn't like that. I'm sure if I was pretty cutthroat, mean, very transactional, I could have made a couple $100,000 those years, but I made 30 grand because I had to stick to my values and those core beliefs that I had, that no one believed in me. They were like, you are crazy. You are crazy. And I'd put them right on the wall. All the principles, we love people. We have fun. We work hard. We outwork people. We customer serve. We serve others, that type of stuff. And it was just the constant reminder that every single day when I could have had the get rich quick or the quick buck, or I could have probably done a shady deal, which those are out there, right? There's people that are doing those.
Yep.
And I just said no. And I knew that one day, from the integrity that I kept with myself, it wasn't for everybody else. It wasn't for social media. That wasn't even a thing back then. It was for me, for Ryan. And I wanted to sleep at night like a baby. And when I looked in the mirror, I could say, hey, you're good, And so, I might be a little bit above board than 99% of the people in my space, but it's done me well.
And that applies to any business. For anybody listening in, if you're still working a job, you're trying to work your way up, if you're trying to start a business, like just understand those core values from the beginning, because then you'll find other people that have the same ones, right? And then there's trust that's built around that. And another thing that you said is you really niched down inside of commercial. You weren't trying to do everything. Right. And that's a big mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make. Is like, oh, there's chasing the buck and trying to get in all these other different industries or different verticals. And then you don't become an expert and you can't actually really, get all the juice out of that squeeze.
Yeah.
So when you stayed in that lane, it's like now years later when you have your own shop, it's like you just know that business so well.
Well, my buddy Sean Whalen always talks about this. I was actually just at his office before this, just jamming out with him. And it's a Bruce Lee quote, but be the master of one kick 1,000,000 times. That one kick rather than the 1,000,000 kicks one time. And that stuck with me years ago. And I'm glad that he keeps bringing it up when he coaches people. We talk about it a lot. Why just industrial or storage units or multifamily, rather than take what you get, and because, deals in commercial real estate, I get a lot of people like, hey, I want you to do this and this restaurant and this, and I defer them out. I monetize on my relationships, right? Because I'm giving somebody 80% of a deal rather than 100% of nothing, right? I'll take a 20% and let somebody go and just work it to the bone and do really well. But I set that expectation that, hey, you're going to serve them. You're going to be honest with them. You're going to uphold integrity. If I get a call from that client that's nagging on you, there we have a problem, right? There's no 3 strikes in this business. It's 1 strike, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's a huge thing is staying true no matter what. And you got to work hard. It's not just going to come, out of the universe, out of the sky. I think there's a lot of that right now where it's just like, I'm so in tune with myself. The universe is telling me to do that. Like, that's great, but you got to work for it too. You got to get your heels in the dirt. You got to grind, and you got to go out and get after it. And if you fail fast, get up and keep going. And if you fail fast, don't dwell, get up, go again. And that's been the story of my life for the last 15 years. And don't get me wrong, I fail a lot. I mess up a lot. But again, you have those 2 choices. You can learn from it or you can cry about it. And I choose to learn from it and be accountable for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a one mistake learner. That's a value inside of our company is that because then you're actually choosing to become better, right? Because people do want to stay in the victim state of like, oh, well, this keeps happening to me. I keep failing, right? Well, why are you failing? Let's understand that. And when students or employees or partners come to me and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this, what do I do? My response is, well, what should you do? When they bring a question, I say also bring an answer so that we can start working closer towards how can we avoid these mistakes in the future. Like take control, take ownership of that, because then you'll start to see more clearly and you can start to avoid these things. And, you know, great business owners, great leaders, you can almost sense that they can see into the future, but it's literally because they're analyzing all their mistakes that they've made and they can start to see clues coming together of like, no, we're not going to operate in this form because I've seen similar situations like this in the past.
And the crazy thing is you say that and it's actually real. As weird as that sounds, I train with William Lamb. I swear by him. And he reprograms people's minds in the most powerful way. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I'll tell you what, he has changed me so much. But I had to put in the work. He's a facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say, yeah, you can almost see in the future. Well, yeah, you can, because in my mind, I'm imagining what that looks like. And so that when it comes to fruition, it's almost like, an epiphany or, I've seen this before. Like I'm having deja vu. Yeah. You're not. You're just imagining your future in a way that you want to see it, whether it's good or bad. It's your responsibility to put it out there that's good. So it's really matters about what you're telling yourself. And that's when, a lot of people are working on themselves. I work on myself all the time on being better, sharper, cleaner, better communicator, better teacher, mentor, lover, all that kind of stuff. And it's, what do I picture for like right now? What do I picture Rice and Capital being? What do I picture Rice and Ventures being? And I'm imagining what that is. And now I'm taking what I have in my head and going and working it to make sure that that comes true. And it's really powerful what you tell yourself. Your mind is super, super powerful. And there's just a lot of people that say, I'm not good enough. I can't do it. I could never be on that level. Well, yeah, you probably won't be on that level if you tell yourself that.
Literally what you're thinking, whatever it is, you're right.
Yeah.
Like that's the simplest way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. You're right.
You're right.
I'm not smart enough. You're right.
Exactly.
I am powerful. You're right. I am wealthy. You're right. It's like that is how powerful our subconscious programming is.
It's nuts, dude.
And once you start to, peel back the layers of that onion, it just gets so exciting about you're in control of everything. But we choose to be like not in control or out of control to keep blaming that for the reason why we can't get to that next thing.
That's right.
So when you start doing that, and that's what I love about entrepreneurship is like when you're building your business, you have to do whatever it takes to get there. So then you start applying that to your mental health. Okay, how can I do whatever I can to have more energy, have more clarity, be a better person? Okay, I'm going all in on that. What do I got to do for physical? What do I got to do with my wife, with my kids? You just start to go all in. It just becomes who you are. And I'm visualizing the amazing marriage that I want still 10 years from now. I'm visualizing the amazing relationship I'm going to have with my son 10 years from now. Because I do the same thing with my business.
That's right. I mean, it's the most powerful thing you can do is train your mind to be positive. And I'll tell people if an associate comes to me or a partner comes to me and said, hey, X, Y, and Z happens. I'm a failure. Okay, why are you a failure? Why are you the problem? And you keep asking, why are you the problem? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? They keep answering, and all of a sudden it goes all the way back full circle, and it's you're the problem. And it's not really that you're the problem; it's that you keep telling yourself that you're the problem. And so if you just change that narrative that says, I'm the solution, I'm the answer, and then why am I the answer? Okay, why is that the answer? Why does that work? What's going on? And it goes full circle, and it's like, holy cow, right? And that takes 10 minutes it's just reprogramming your way of thinking. But there's just too many, call it young entrepreneurs, too many, that's where people don't excel as entrepreneurs, or they want to be entrepreneurs and they end up working for somebody the rest of their life because they can't get past that person that they see in the mirror. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
A lot.
Same.
When I left Collier's, going back, in a vulnerability, and I've shared this a little bit on different podcasts, is I went through a big depression phase. Right? I was at the very top. I was the president. I chose to not be that anymore. They wanted me for another 10 plus years, which, I probably could have just finished out, retired there when I was older and probably continued to scale. But I chose the entrepreneurship way, the hard way. And I thought to myself, I'm going to lose all my clients. I'm going to lose all this, call it fame. I'm going to lose what people think of me. I mean, people are going to think like I took a step backwards or I'm a failure. And what I realized, it was just me telling myself that. And I let myself slip into a deep, deep, deep depression that took me for a year. And what I realized was the clients that I talked to, they said, I don't care what jersey you wear. I don't care what color your sign is. We want Ryan. Right? We love you. So whatever platform that is, as long as it serves us, we're in. But we want you. But we want you to want you.
Absolutely.
And when I came out of that, I realized, oh my gosh, it was everything that I was telling my stupid self about how bad this was. I was so scared of the reaction of others that I let it affect my day to day. I let it affect my marriage. I let it affect the way I was parenting. I let it affect the way that I was investing. I was letting it affect the way that I was brokering and how I was as a friend and a son and a brother. And it just dawned on me one day. I just snapped right out of it. I was like, knock it off. And I had to look in the mirror, and it was just a temperature check that said, look, you are enough. You are a stud. Look what you've done at your age. Now snap out of it, because all these people need you and you need you. And that's where the entrepreneur starts and ends. It's you. Like, it's you versus you this whole time.
And you're going to be harder on yourself than any of your friends ever would be. A lot of those things you tell yourself.
That's okay to be hard on yourself. But also, when you're done being hard on yourself, say, okay, what did we learn? Can we move forward? Right? Because the only person that really, really, really cares is the person that looks at you. The other people, they might talk negative. They might throw you a burner email, a burner text. But I'll tell you what, they're talking about somebody else the next day.
Yep.
So don't internalize it. Say, can I learn from this? Is it gossip? Is it whatever it is? Take it for a grain of salt. Take it for face value. And, if it's something that you really need to learn or you messed up, take accountability, step up, say I'm sorry and move on. That's the whole thing of fail fast, fail hard, get back up, get going. But be a good dude or a good lady in the process. Be accountable. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time.
You got to stay accountable.
It's always everybody else's fault.
Oh yeah.
Right. And just take accountability. Like, God, I got lazy on a deal just little while ago, and I got chewed out for it from a really good friend. Love him dearly. And I'll tell you what, I was like, oh, this is my fault. This is my bad. It's on me. I'll fix it. And even if he doesn't want me to fix it, I'm going to fix it, because that's the type of person I am. Whether he likes it or not, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to step up. And that's just what you need to do, rather than, oh, well, he hates me, well, I hate him. I'm going to talk crap on him. I'm going to make up all these stories about him and what he said to me because I feel stupid. It's like, no, buddy, that's my fault. I'm so sorry. Take full accountability. There's no excuse. I'll fix it. Just go fix it.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is, first of all, it's none of your business what other people think about you. I heard that a long time from a mentor. It's like, most of the time, like you said, they're going to be talking about somebody else the next day, and that's all they do. That's their whole day, is talking about other people, not worried about themselves, not working on themselves. It's like, who cares, right? And then when you also cut those people out of your life, that's when you make room for the people that are going to show up and add value and cheer you on. And if they ain't cheering you on, like, truly, even behind your back, it's like they ain't even in your corner anyways.
Yeah.
Like, if you ain't losing friends, you ain't growing, is what I heard a long time ago. And when you're making that room for more abundant people, they just keep showing up.
Oh yeah. And you just have to have enough confidence in yourself to put up those boundaries. What I teach a lot is, people will say, Ryan, you're so humble. Well, why are they saying that just recently? I've always thought that I was humble. Well, what does humble mean? Humble equals confident. Humble equals confident. You're right. If you think I'm humble, it's because I'm super confident. I'm confident in the human that I am and what I can bring to the table, what I can bring to our relationship. And look, if I'm not, if it's not reciprocated, it's not that I don't love you any less. It just means that there's a boundary between us. And that's why people are, the very successful people in this world say, I've got 2 or 3 people in like my core inner circle.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right. And you know what? That's okay. I have a lot of friends and a lot of people that I love so much, but it doesn't mean they're all in my inner circle. Right. You have to really prove yourself, and I have to prove myself to them to have that responsibility of being in an inner circle. How does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I mean, I've definitely experienced that, especially like I've had partnerships, even friendships that have burnt me. And it's like, I've always been an over trusting person, very nice person. And I've seen people take advantage of that. And so I've learned to get a lot smarter in that. And I know that, okay, I have my circle here where I have my businesses and my guys that we talk money and we talk our big numbers or whatever it is. I can't have the same conversation with my friends in these other groups because then it may jade them because they don't understand the business relationship. So I've had to learn to get really smart about what relationships I have with those people and then keep those conversations with those people, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Because then when I'm talking to my business guys about how I'm rock climbing, we're jumping out of airplanes, they're like, bro, don't get hurt. We need you. Like you can't have those extreme sport conversations necessarily with them. Right. So in that same form, it's understanding the relationship and really leaning into whatever that connection or relationship is with that person. And it's fine for it just to stay in that container. And usually that's when it stays the most healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all of this, I would just say, what is it that allows you to have so many connections with so many people? Love. Sounds cliche, but it's not. It's just love. Do you love yourself enough to love somebody else? Do you love somebody else so much so that everything that you breathe, all of those core values that you exude, emulate that relationship? And that's where I feel I'm different.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 forms in the universe, in this world. It's love and fear. That's it. And people say, well, there's a lot more to that. Not really, because at the base of it, right, if somebody is self-sabotaging or rude or, talks trash, right, it's like that's coming from a fearful place. If it's all love coming from connection, building people up, encouragement, that's just what it is. And when you can choose to operate in that frequency, it's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary to be honest. It's scary to be, out there in an open book. But when you are, that's when you're going to find other people that are on that same frequency. And you really start attracting that. I read the book Law of Attraction a long time ago. It's like, wow, this stuff's real. Like there's science to this just based on how you choose to show up and operate every single day.
For sure. No, it's the way to go. I mean, my takeaway in this conversation for any young entrepreneur listening is, what would I do differently at 21, 22, 25? Number one is I would get a coach, or a couple. I have several coaches. Even though I mentor, I coach other people. I have several coaches. I have one for my health and fitness. I have one for my brain. I have one for my business. And I wouldn't change it for the world because it's allowed me to see me in a different lens rather than just Ryan looking at Ryan.
Yep.
And number 2 is I would not try to run before I walk. And I did a little bit of that thinking when I sold my fitness business, oh yeah, like here we go, baby. And I wanted to come out of the gate sprinting. I wanted that get rich quick, hit that milestone, retire early. Like that was my mind. And I realized real quick, I got slapped in the face with failure time and time again. And I realized, well, wealth is created over time. It's the slow game. And so be patient. And if you're going to be a good leader, make sure that you're a good follower first. and make sure that you follow the right people. Because if you follow the wrong person, even if you're a good leader, it's going to lead you in a bad way. But if you want to be the best leader, find the best person, find the best leader to follow, be the best follower. And then when your role comes up or it's your job to be that leader, emulate what that good leader did for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So powerful, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in and dropping in today. This is a great conversation. And we have so many aligning values, and I love what you're doing in the world. And
Thank you.
just, I think consistency and being true to yourself is a big takeaway from this conversation, because that's what you've done from day one, even with that check with your father.
Yeah.
He was like, wow, I'm so proud of you, because some young kid that just sold his company never would have done that.
No.
It was something that
I didn't expect it either.
Yeah.
And I always feel like even when I see him or I think about that or share that story, it just brings a lot of joy to my heart.
Beautiful. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can we follow you, support you?
Yeah, you can find me. You can Google me, or you can go to Instagram, Real Ryan Flint. Real Ryan Flint's RyanFlint.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Okay.